Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is Dawnbringers Season 4, Episode 2. This is the new season that we started last week, Heart of Nightfang Spire, and this second episode is called the Feywisle. You'll have to look at the spelling of the episode to see my clever punnage. I'm pretty proud of that one, but we'll see. Maybe I'll feel really bad about it after tonight. Sorry for getting a late start, but thank you to everybody who hung out in the chat waiting for us to get started. The usual internet rule issues persisting, so standard internet rules are in place right now that we're going to stream with the intention of making it all the way through the night. But if the stream gets so bad that we can't continue the broadcast, we will end the stream, but continue playing and get the VOD up within the next 48 hours. And if you missed episode 1, or for that matter, the first 3 seasons of the Dawnbringers, they are all up on youtube.com/mini-terrain-domain. So you want to be sure to check that out. I don't think I added this, so I'm going to get in Cajun Kevin's resub from earlier. Earned you guys a new domain die. Domain dice are a way that you, the audience, can participate in the game. That's right, through a $5 tip, through a 500-bit cheer, subscriptions, resubscriptions, raids, all of those things will earn the players domain dice that will, of course, provide all those. They're over there now, up above Dan and V. 108 domain dice right now. They can use those to re-roll. They can make me re-roll and do all kinds of cool things. You can find out more about what they do by typing, as Jeremy just did, !domain dice, or watching the crawl down below. Something else that's really cool that I want to tell you about is, of course, our longtime partner, Jasper's Game Day, an incredible organization founded by Fenway Jones, Fenway the Teen DM on Twitter, right here in my home state of Michigan. It is a organization dedicated to raising awareness of and prevention of suicide through tabletop gaming. And I've been partnered with them for well over a year now, and continue to tell you about Jasper's and how you can simply type !Jasper in the chat, and that's going to bring up a direct donation link. But something even cooler than that is that you can tune in here to twitch.tv/mini-terrain-domain from May 3rd through May 7th. That's a Sunday through a Thursday, from noon to midnight, to catch 60 hours of D&D live play gaming. We are going to have a game running from noon to 2 every day, another game running from 2 to 5, another game running from 5 to 8, and then a flagship game running from 8 p.m. to midnight. We have over 120 game masters and players that are involved currently from all over the D&D space, community, online, Twitter, and beyond. Of course, you're going to find your Dawnbringers there on the last day, the last stream of the event. We will all be there. We will be playing a regular game of Dawnbringers, but we are going to change the domain dice rules just a little bit, as all domain dice are, during that event, are being used in their usual fashion, but we're also raising money for the charity. We've got games that, in fact, the game before ours is DM'd by Satine Phoenix and has some incredible players. Satine will be running that game, and she's got, I know David Blue is one of her players, Jim Zub. David Blue is a television actor. He's been on things like one of the Stargate shows. I can't remember which one. Our flagship games, we've got Todd Stashwick, Hollywood actor, writer, producer, director. In that same game, we have Matthew Lillard, and Anna Prosser is going to be in that game as well. And then on, I think it's Monday night, actually, not Tuesday. That's the Sunday night game. Monday night, right here, will be Christopher Perkins running a game for 5 people who all won the auction for those seats. So 5 members of the community that ponied up for that auction, won that auction. I will say that Chris's game has already raised over $3,000 for the charity in auctioning those seats. We have another flagship game by Kaylee Bray from Damsel's Dice and Everything Nice. Kaylee and some of the damsels were on the stream last year, and it was an absolutely amazing game. And then we have B. Dave Walters is returning this year to run a game, and our friend Kelly the Opera Geek is going to be in that game, along with our Monday night DM for the All That Glitters campaign, Mike Lasham, Mike the Piper. He is going to be in that game as well. Not to mention that we've got Dwight from the All That Glitters game running an all Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. We've got I can't remember. We got Sean Merwin running a game. We've got Greg Tito playing in a game. We've got Chris Lindsay playing in a game. I don't have the list up right now. Go to Twitter to @MTD_Jake to my Twitter, and you can find the big promo with all of the faces of all the cool people that are going to be involved. We've already raised over $10,000, but we want to see you there that week to help us meet our goal, our on-stream goal of another 15,000, so we can make it 25,000 for the year. This thing's huge. We've got tons of prizes to give away, sponsors that are signing up, that are going to be giving away even more prizes. This is turning into a huge thing, and I'm super stoked about it. I'm glad that we're all going to be there, and we'll hope to see you there as well. The Initiative Coffee Company is somebody that I partnered with. You can type !coffee in the chat, and you will get a link to Metade roast coffee. It's coffee. What do I need? What more do I need to say about it? It's coffee. You need it. So you might as well get it from here, because when you buy a 12-ounce bag of when you buy a 12-ounce bag of Metade roast coffee, $3 of that purchase will go directly to Jasper's game day. Tamiko, yes, we will be putting up a schedule of the games soon. We'll try to get that up in the week leading up to, so people can decide and plan around how they want to be able to see it. But we hope to see you there for the entire 60 hours. I mean, come on, everybody's at home. Turn it on in the background. Let's see. Quick shout out to D&D Beyond for granting us insider access. That's why you can mouse over the stream, and you can see all of these characters, see what their classes are, what their current hit points are. You can watch their hit points dwindle as I put them through trial after trial. I don't know if it lets you see when you click through if you can see their equipment lists or not, but they have ridiculous amounts of treasure and magic items because some dungeon master just gave them literally almost 2 million gold pieces worth of cash and prizes. So there will be absolutely no ramifications for that whatsoever. So with that, I think that I went through that really fast because we got a late start. I think that covers all my usual announcements for everything that everybody that's sponsoring and helping out and partnering. I do want to say that because we do mention this before every stream, because it is extremely important, especially in times such as they are now. We are strong advocates of mental health, and that I think the most important thing is that no matter how tough things are, no matter what you're going through, you need to know that you matter. It can be difficult to accept that, and maybe you don't believe it, but believe it or not, you matter, and your presence on this earth makes a difference. But it can be a struggle. As I said, in times such as they are, the good thing is that there are lots of resources that are available if you need somebody to talk to. And if you do need somebody to talk to, we urge you to please reach out to somebody. And that's why at any time during any mini terrain domain stream, whether we're online or not, even if we're offline, you can come here, you can type !help. During the games, you can watch the scroll down at the bottom, and that information will go by as well. We have, for our friends in the United States, you can call the National Suicide Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-8255. If you are in the military, active, or you are a veteran, you can press the number 1 after that to get a veteran specialized counselor. Or you can text 741-741. In Canada, You can reach the crisis text line by texting CONNECT for English or PARLAY for French to 686-868, or you can call the Canada Suicide Prevention Services in French or English at 1-833-456-4566. If you are among our friends from around the world, you can go to the link that is in the chat, or you can type into your browser opencounseling.com/suicide-hotlines, and you will find lots of wonderful resources there, phone numbers, text numbers, for various countries around the world. Again, do not hesitate to reach out to somebody if you need to. All right. So now we're going to do what is our favorite thing to do, which is a little bit of escapism. We are going to play some Dungeons and Dragons. Quick recap. These are the Dawnbringers. That is a name they gave themselves. They have managed to work their way through the Sunless Citadel and then through the Forge of Fury. They tried unsuccessfully to set up shop in Saltmarsh before they decided, nope, this town isn't for us, and left. They might just been better off doing the musical number from Monty Python about going to Camelot, but insert Saltmarsh instead. And now they are heading across the ocean, heading back towards Faerun and back towards the Sword Coast. They have a clear mission that has been outlined for them to find the Nightfang Spire, to destroy the heart that is there, and deal with the newly risen vampire Gulthias, who, well, quite frankly, the whole reason he's back is because of the Dawnbringers, and specifically because of Griveth destroying the Gulthias tree and freeing the vampire Gulthias. So these adventurers, newly minted level 10s, are on their way across the sea. Cantriel, newly appointed captain of the Evangeline, along with her spectator first mate and the rest of the crew, have been doing their best to deal with being a captain, which largely involves just letting Victor tell everybody what to do. While they were, and of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact, as I touched on briefly, that they did finally get into the hold of the locked hold of the ship, and they uncovered an apparatus of Qualish, and they uncovered quite literally almost 2 million gold pieces worth of treasure. There was literally about 1 million actual gold and platinum pieces, not to mention all the jewels and art pieces, several magical items. They basically found a treasure hoard, a treasury hidden in this ship. So naturally, they spent most of their time on the sea divvying up this newly found treasure and not letting the crew know about it. The rest of the crew know about it. That is until they discovered a bright light sailing through the sky over the ship directly towards them. They took quick evasive action and executed the name escapes me, Dan. What's it called? The bootlegger's turn. Is that what it's called?
That's one term for it. Although nautically, it's also called club hauling.
Yes, where they drop anchor while steering hard to port and use the anchor drop, and then quickly pulling it back up to basically pull an ocean-going e-brake maneuver to get out of the way of this flash of light. As the flash of light narrowly misses the masts of the ship, it goes crashing into the ocean several hundred yards away, and leaving in its wake, bizarrely, autumn leaves cascading down on the deck of the ship. And when the plume of water and steam subsided, there was an island upon which there was a very colorful forest, white sandy beaches. They pull in close, they drop anchor, and after a little bit of messing around, the dwarves figure out how to use the apparatus Aqualish and discover that it can be sized smaller to get it out the door, clamber up onto the deck, drop into the ocean, and all of the Dawnbringers end up on the shore of this small island, leaving the crew to look after them, wondering, how in the hell did they get an apparatus Aqualish? And that is where we pick up tonight, Dawnbringers, with, at this point, it's Griveth, Drown, Cantriel, Fig, and Hermes. And I imagine their day is there as well. As they are standing on the beach, having pulled the longboat up to the sand, and Thorgarn and Talmud are in the apparatus of Aqualish, skittering across the beach. Before you see rising upward, this island has a bit of a rise to it, but all of the trees are brightly colored in reds and pinks and magentas and yellows and purples, and very much has a strong sense of the Feywisle about it. Dawnbringers, what would you like to do?
Drown will hop off of the boat onto the beach and see if he explodes.
He does not.
Hooray!
Minor success of the evening.
I'm declaring victory. We're done. Right. Yeah, so he'll kind of help haul the boat up out of the, I guess it's technically the surf, right? Even though this thing just fell out of the sky. Once everybody is clear and onto the beach, he'll start trying to get a better look around.
And I would say you notice, having that observation, of course, that this is an island that was not here quite literally a half an hour ago. You notice that as you pull up to it and you pull this longboat up into the sand, there is a shoreline to this island that extends down into the water, into shallows, and it doesn't seem like it's just, like there's deep water and then suddenly you're at the shore. This, for all intents and purposes, looks like an island that's always been here. What about the rest of you?
I think there's a loud clanging noise as Talmud exits the apparatus and kind of stumbles and climbs his way down the outside of it until he can reach solid ground again. And then he just kind of like buries his hands like up to the wrists in the sand. Oh, sweet earth. Precious, precious earth. And he starts kissing the ground.
Oh, so that's your type.
I'm not in the mood.
Oh, you better tell her that.
He stands up and like starts brushing himself off.
Does anybody have a clue to the nature of this island?
Yes, it's home.
The sailors told us that it's not supposed to be here from the charts.
What do you mean it's home, Cantriel?
Reminds me of home.
That
Stuff like this would
explains a
happen all the
lot.
time. What?
A lot.
You're from an island?
She's from somewhere up there in the sky.
Not exactly that, no. More like the Feywild.
The Fey. Who?
You really don't know about it.
He kind of looks
No.
around as if like he's the only one? Question mark.
Oh no, you can see I'm confused also.
I don't know. Drown wouldn't necessarily know much about the Feywild either, so.
You never heard of the parallel world, the Feywild, where, you know, it sort of mirrors what goes on here, but it's a lot prettier and a little bit more fascinating.
So more elven is what you're saying.
More Fey. Hence Feywild,
Whatever, same thing.
It's another plane then.
essentially.
All right.
Where anything can happen. Like, you know,
And this feels like a piece of it that fell here.
magical island came out of nowhere as a comet type of thing? Yes.
So if we sailed to another world?
No, sometimes you can blip in every so often.
So Thorgarn
Do
pops
you-
his head out of this, strange device. Did we bring this out here, Talmud, just to ride it on the water, or are we actually walking this thing through whatever we're doing here?
What are we doing? Do we have a plan?
I think we're exploring.
Exploring.
Captain said so.
Well, yes, I mean, check it out. Make sure, you know, everything's on the up and up.
Hey, Jake,
Yeah.
how big does this island seem? Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. Get big.
It's you. I mean, it was so close. You didn't get the advantage of seeing it from afar to approach it to get a true gauge of the length and breadth of it. But from this side that you approached from, it looks to be about 3/4 of a mile.
Okay, that's not.
Not
It
trying
shouldn't
to
take us-
metagame. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Not trying to metagame, but you've given us some clues that this could have links to the curse, what happened with the Gulthias tree and everything. Am I getting any kind of weird? Is Griveth getting any kind of weird feeling, or
Did I
For
give you?
Cantriel.
Did I give you clues that it could have something to do with the Gulthias tree?
Mm,
We're supposed to be hunting the vampire Gulthias, so
If
Yeah, but
so, I
that's-
missed them. So.
I haven't
so
said
besides,
anything.
besides that?
No,
Is
it
Griveth getting
was-
any kind of feeling of being here?
Are you
Some
tapping
connection, because he was connected to that darkness for quite a while.
any connection you had to that darkness has been cleansed. I mean, you can tap into your paladin ability, but you're not sensing anything that is of a dark, evil nature. You're not sensing any desecration. Yeah, if there's
Yeah,
any,
I will do the divine sense.
which is 60 feet, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 0 ping of evil.
Gotcha.
Tells us the island isn't hallowed or desecrated, so that's nice.
Do we see any kind of like vegetation further in?
The most prominent vegetation would be about 50 yards off the beach. You can see these trees that seem to be about medium growth at this point, though you can see signs further on as the terrain seems to rise up a bit of maybe older growth trees. But everything from this vantage point, you can primarily see their foliage is just these bright pinks, purples, reds, yellows, orange, magenta.
Oh, I'll do some primeval awareness. Round it off.
Whoops. 1 second.
What are your natural explorer terrain?
Forest.
Oh, lovely.
Yep.
5-mile radius then. Boom.
Woohoo!
Let's see. Primeval awareness.
think this is the first time she's actually been in a forest type area.
It's only taken 40 games to get you into
Right?
here.
Vegetables.
I forgot about it because of that.
All right, so that would be there we go. You focus your awareness and region around you for 1 minute per level spell slot you expend. You can sense whether the following types of creatures are present. 6 miles. So aberrations, celestials, dragons, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead. For 1 minute per level. All right, so you begin just sort of reaching out with your primeval awareness, and you don't sense any of the usual things you've encountered. You're not sensing any fiends or undead. There's no aberrations. You get a strong general sense of celestial from the island itself. Nothing draconic other than your own fairy dragon, which actually pings more loudly as Fae. You are sensing some elemental, but it doesn't seem to be focused on a particular entity or number of entities. There just seems to be some sense of elemental in the area. And of course, the largest that you sense in large numbers is Fae. You get a very clear, strong sense of Fae. And a lot of it has that feeling of almost that you could attribute it to just natural Fae wildlife. But you are sensing within your mile range very strong concentration of Fae in the center of the island.
Yeah, it's definitely like home. There's, lots of Fae-like feelings floating around.
As you sort of finish this primeval awareness and you sort of look in that direction, you see standing right at the edge of the tree line about 50 yards away, you see what appears to be a young elven woman. Young enough that she's probably not in triple digit years yet. From a human perspective, she has the appearance of maybe a 12-year-old girl. She's wearing a very pale green, almost like a sundress, and a light breeze seems to just cause it to just flutter a little bit. Her hair is a strawberry blonde and is longish and just seems to sort of flutter a little bit in the wind as well. She's just standing there staring at you, Cantriel.
Oh, right away, sort of greeting her in Elvish. Hello, saw you come in. Thought we'd come over, say hi.
She smiles, turns, and walks into the forest.
That means follow her.
None of you have seen this.
What are you talking about again? Exactly?
The little Elvish girl. You didn't see her.
Who are you talking to?
Okay.
No, I saw no one.
Well, she was there and she's walking into the forest. So we can either follow along or hack our way through and try and find something ourselves.
The last time I followed some strange, mysterious being, it didn't exactly turn out well for me. So are we really sure that we want to follow this stranger into the middle of this stranger island?
Yes.
Where things are wild and crazy and chaotic and full of elven traps and
yes.
Talmud, if it makes you feel any better, you're not following the stranger. You're following
You're
our
following
captain
me.
here.
All right.
And it's land.
well,
We could
that's the
go back
point.
to the boat.
You
This is
shut
true.
up.
Go back on the boat, sail away. You won't see land for who knows.
I'm getting in the thingy, and he's gonna climb back into the apparatus.
Getting back in the thingy.
You have to shove Thorgarn back in or pull him out because he's never actually left the device.
I'm closing the hatch. I can't hear you.
This is gonna be too much fun.
Some boats, some ships have a dinghy. You guys have a thingy.
Phrasing.
I know what I said.
I know you know what you said.
So the dwarves are staying in the apparatus.
For now,
Okay.
it's a fun little toy to play with.
Look, I'm fine going ahead and scouting it out a little bit, and then I can come back and let you know what I find.
Perhaps it would be safer if we all went together.
Well, I'm going either way.
Why don't we all leave together?
No, I don't want to.
We don't have to go on this island.
No, we don't have to. But again, I want to. You can
You
go
aren't
back
the least
on the
bit
ship.
curious? You aren't
What
the
if
least
this
bit
is-
curious about an island that fell out of the sky?
What if this is all an elaborate trap?
Or you can meet a whole bunch of me, Griveth. It's like a dream come true. Although it's probably Talmud's nightmare.
The apparatus actually nods.
Talmud's figured out how to make it sort of do like a horse slightly bowing.
Oh god, this is gonna be nuts.
It's really just the dwarves rolling around inside, just moving the weight back and forth.
All right, shall we then?
Yes, I'll lead. Probably because I'm the only one who can apparently see her.
All right. You walk forward to where you saw this young elven girl enter the forest. As you get up close, you can see that the trees don't look like any kind of tree you've seen before. Each tree trunk looks as if it's made of intertwined branches and vines forming a sort of trunk, but it's not a dense forest up here. There seems to be a pretty fair spacing between these tree trunks to allow easy movement. Though the way they're spaced, you can never seem to see more than about 30 feet as you're moving through. Everything seems to be slightly obscured by other tree branches and foliage. Because of the bright color of the canopy, everything has a sort of pinkish hue as you enter in here. It's still gray skies, so there's no direct sunlight filtering through from where you're at, standing at the edge of this. As you enter in Cantriel, does everybody then is following Cantriel?
I
yes.
imagine that Fig, as soon as he heard and I believe remembered a bit from his reading that this was the Fae, and then heard it confirmed from Cantriel, he's been kind of like, he went a little bit away from the group, just not very far, but a little bit, and he's like, you hear him talking with Hermes, and he just hear him whispering to him, and then all of a sudden Hermes just goes, picks up some sand, dirt, comes to bring it to him. Fig gets out a little glass jar, puts the sand in, talks to him again. Hermes goes running off, collects some water in his hand, comes back for Fig, and as they start walking, Hermes is just going back and forth collecting small samples of leaves and bark and anything that he can find, and coming back to give to Fig, that he's kind of putting in this, it almost looks like a little terrarium almost in this little bottle.
I love that Hermes has sort of become like your research assistant. That's perfect. And then,
I
of
think-
course... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think from outside the apparatus, you can just hear like the pinging echo of Talmud bitching. Just like chewing Thorgarn's ear off about everything that has gone not Talmud's way.
And Thorgarn is kind of just like sitting there enjoying the ride. He's you've seen people drone on, and the other person, yep, and that's what he's doing. He's in his glory, working this device or making this device move. Dwarves are all about craftsmanship and this and that, and the more he kind of gets into Moradin, somebody had to make this, and the fact that we're driving this mechanical lobster, for lack of a better word, it's just awesome to him. So Talmud can argue and complain all he likes, and it's not affecting Thorgarn at all.
As you all step into the forest proper, after about 30 feet, you notice that you don't hear the sound of the surf behind you anymore. You hear only the sounds of nature. You hear the creaking of the trees. You can hear that rustle as the wind plays through the leaves, with a sort of shushing sound occasionally moving, never too strong, just enough to keep it cool and comfortable. The humidity seems to have cooled off. You actually notice that there are beams of sunlight penetrating the canopy, and there are, like, you can see actual beams in certain places, because there is, whether it's a pollen or just dust motes, whatever it may be, you can see this sort of pink light enhanced as this sunlight comes through, creating this almost haziness as you move through. You do hear quite a few birds and other chittering sounds very familiar to a forest. How many of you have a passive perception greater than that's 15 or greater? I wasn't asking Cantriel. Griveth as well. Everybody else is below 15. So Cantriel and Griveth. Cantriel, you're following quickly behind where you saw this elven girl walk in. And you don't see any sign of her. But after about 30 feet, you see about another 30 feet in front of you, you see movement as a humanoid form steps into view from behind a tree trunk. And Griveth, you see this as well. It seems to be in a space between beams of light. So while it's illuminated, you see it mostly as shades of pink and red from the shadow. It steps behind another tree trunk. And then you see about 40 or 50 feet away, you see the form step out from behind a different tree trunk, moving ahead of you. Are you continuing to follow? Are you following this form? What would you like to do?
Griveth kind of throws up a symbol, or like with his hand, he noticed something up ahead.
You could just say you saw something.
I didn't want to let them know I saw it.
They know you're here. They know already, most likely. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing this fun little dance.
Gotcha. I'm not familiar with the ways of these shy folk.
What did you see?
There's another figure that's cropped up, sort of jumping between the trees, in between the beams.
Well, it is apparently keeping its distance.
Yeah, making sure it's known, to me at least.
Is it dangerous?
Aren't we all?
Jake, since it's been called out, Drown is going to try to sort of snap out of his kind of mental drone that he was in and take a look and see if he can spot what they're talking about.
Yeah, go ahead and give me a perception check.
Can I point it out to give him advantage?
Ooh.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Delightful. All right, so that is a perception -1, 17.
You look at where Griveth is pointing, and Griveth is pointing to where he saw the figure step out, but it has since stepped behind another tree trunk. But you see about 30 feet beyond that, you see the figure step out from another tree trunk. Always in shadow, vague feminine form, always staying about 60 feet ahead of you.
Okay, so it's maintaining a pretty regular distance.
It seems to be.
Does the figure like move again once it steps out of the tree trunk, or is it just kind of hanging out there waiting until we move to catch up?
It actually seems like it's, since you all have sort of stopped, it stops.
Aha. I see it.
Oh, good.
Do we simply follow the elf girl and leave the other shadow to its business until it decides to speak to us or demand our attention?
Well, that's a good question. Seeing as I'm not seeing her right now, but we're seeing this right now. Could I send Verity over to sort of interact first?
Yeah.
With the shadow creature? Okay, so Verity, why don't you go and say hello for us? Say we come in peace type of thing, goodwill and all that.
All right. So you send Verde, which again I believe is an older fairy dragon, correct?
Yep, he is.
Green in hue. Yeah. So Verde begins flying over there. Verde can close that 60 feet pretty quickly. And you see Verde sort of flit through along the trees, and then you see this female form reach out a hand, and Verde alights upon it. Fig. Off to your side, Hermes has continued to bring you small bits of moss, has brought you a sampling of each of the different colors of leaves that he's found. From your right side, Hermes comes walking over, and he's walking a little bit slower than usual. Still doing that sort of measured gait where he looks like he wants to run faster, but you've kind of taught him how to move slower. But he seems to be moving even slower. And he's holding in his hand, and slightly off to the side, he's holding a colorful sprig of leaves, small, thin branches and leaves. And as he steps into one of these beams of light, you see the sprig form into a hand and then an arm. And Hermes is walking a female form that is clothed in, like, seems to be cloaked in this very same foliage, very much looking like it's low slung on over one shoulder and coming up over top of the other shoulder. What would be skin appears to be very pale, almost mahogany, but literally mahogany, like wood texture. The hair itself cascades down like the fine branches of a weeping willow as this feminine form steps up, holding onto Hermes' hands.
I imagine that Fig, his back is turned, so he can only I imagine he hears the multiple footsteps coming in and hears the distinctive gait of Hermes. How many times do I have to tell you, Hermes? If it moves by itself, do not try and grab it. And he would turn at that point and see that it's actually more than just an animal or something. And he just kind of looks and tilts his head to the side and then back and then to the side again, kind of like a dog, just like looking at it. And then ever so slightly just puts his hand up like this and opens 1, 2, 3, 5 fingers and then just waves.
With its free hand, and we'll now say with her free hand, you see that very thin, delicate mahogany fingers echo your movement. And a smile plays across the face. Griveth and Cantriel, you would notice first. And then Drown, and from within the apparatus, Thorgarn and Talmud, you would see as...
Is that a vegetable person?
From the immediate vicinity... from the immediate vicinity around you, more of these forms step out from behind the trees. And some of them are feminine, some of them are masculine, some of them are indistinct. They don't carry a specific gender about them. All of them seem to wear similar garb, which is one shoulder covered, one not. Looks partially like a dress or like a just a very thin covering. Their skin, their bark-like skin seems to be in various types of wood. So you see a large variety of these humanoids stepping out, first 2, then 4, then 6, until there's about a dozen of them surrounding you.
About how big are they?
I would say that they're comparable in size to Griveth or Cantriel.
Okay, and she'll flip into Elvish. Hello. Are you the quiet type, or?
They seem to cock their heads, and they're moving. Their movement is very much like tree branches blowing in the wind, very slight and subtle, gliding across. Thorgarn and Talmud, you hear a gentle scraping sound on the exterior of the apparatus. From outside, the rest of you can see as 2 of them walk by on either side of the apparatus, reaching fingers out, trailing along the side of the apparatus, until suddenly, from the front viewport, you see one of them sort of step past and continue walking, and Talmud and Thorgarn, you just see a face made of oak just suddenly pressed up against the glass, looking into the apparatus. Yes, exactly. Just boom.
I know.
And looking in at you. But
I imagine I begin to wave as Talmud quickly closes the glass.
You pull that lever that makes the shutters close for the window.
It grabs Ghost Cleaver.
The rest of them, they don't say anything in response to you, Cantriel. The one that is holding Hermes' hand just sort of looks over in the direction of the one you saw off in the distance. 60 feet away, you see this figure step behind a tree and emerge in the next step from behind the tree nearest you, Cantriel. And you watch as she steps forward. All around her, this form of these sort of magenta leaves seem to cascade down and fall away until they fall to the ground completely. And the young elven girl is standing there before you. I'm sorry. They're a bit shy, but also curious.
Aren't they normally?
She's speaking in Elven to you.
Okay, so keeping up in Elvish.
Does anybody else speak
Us?
Elvish? Fig does.
Do we all see her?
Yes, you all do see her.
Well, we certainly mean no harm. Likewise for them.
As long as you and your friends are not cruel, the Dryads will leave you alone. They are protection. They keep me safe.
Well, that's good. Forest is good like that, isn't it?
It's all I've known,
I'm-
the forest.
Same for me for quite a while, especially when I was your age.
I don't think you've ever been my age.
Long time ago, though not that long. I'm Cantriel. Who are you?
For now, I am your guide. I am to take you to her.
All right, well, let me just let them know that, and we'll get going. And
they-
she'll flip right into common. Oops, sorry.
Do they not speak our tongue?
The one does,
Ah,
but not the rest, no.
the machine with a soul. You understand me? She looks at you, Fig.
Fig is looking intently, has not moved his gaze from her. It's not scared or it's just the extreme curiosity, just watching every movement, every little, I imagine, twig that bristles in the wind and leaf, but he would nod.
Sorry, I think I turned down my mic earlier on accident, and I was speaking very softly. Is that better?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. You have very powerful magic in you. I can see it. All of you are touched by magic, and she's now speaking in common. This is good. This is why she wants to see you.
Who wishes to see us?
Even I am not permitted to speak her name. Not here. She will tell you her name, if you earn that right.
Drown just kind of looks over at everybody else.
She walks around. She places a hand on the tree that she stepped out from behind. And sort of trailing it behind her, she walks around the backside of it. And as she does so, Cantriel, you see small fungi sprout across the surface of the tree. And as she steps behind it, she doesn't come out on the other side. She comes out from behind the tree over on the other side by you, Griveth. And this young elven girl is standing in front of you. She is most interested to see you. You represent the Lady of the Waterfalls.
You know of Eldath?
All of us know of Eldath. Eldath is life.
Yes, she is. She
This
has
is
gotten
good.
me through many scrapes.
And I am certain she will get you through many more.
If I am worthy.
She will decide that. It is most
Who will decide this?
You will see. It is most fortunate that you have come to us today. We have been waiting a very long time.
Griveth looks at Cantriel very confused.
What?
He just doesn't understand all this. He doesn't understand this, what's going on.
We're going to
I
meet
guess
fully.
it's an alien thing to him.
You've never been summoned before, have you?
Yes, but
But what?
what is this court?
We'll soon find out.
Is it good or evil?
Somewhere in between, most likely. You can't think of this place as black and white, Griveth. It doesn't work that way. It never is. It never does.
You said fortunate that we came across you. You came across us. Was that happenstance?
We presented ourselves where you needed us to be. There was a chance that you would never come across this place. We had to take that chance. We have been waiting here for a very long time.
Well, we came here to explore. It seems that she is going to take us to the most interesting place on this island. Shall we follow?
I thought that was a given.
We must find out what this is all about. Is it fate? Is it destiny? Is it chance?
Now Griveth really wants to go.
That's right. It's about him. Now he wants to go, right?
He's like, they know Eldath. We've got to go now.
yeah, come on. I mean, come on.
It's a fan club.
Waterfall and all, you know.
Probably best that we start going. We don't want to leave her waiting.
Yeah. Shall we go? Shall we? Let's move along.
What is it with you and just...
You don't know by now?
I assume we bring the lobster, right?
Leave the lobster. Unless you can make sure it doesn't... Well, just don't harm anything. No pinchy, scratchy.
Then we might as well leave it.
Like I said, leave
That's
it.
all this does. Oh.
What if we lose it in this place? We can no longer hear the beach
Can you shrink
or
it
see
down?
the ship.
Shrink it down, pop it in a pocket.
I don't think it's going to shrink that small.
It also requires somebody to be in it to shrink it down.
Right.
Oh, right.
Jake, how small did it get when they shrunk?
Half size?
It was probably about half size. It was probably still a good several. I would say probably about 3-4 feet long
Okay.
when shrunken.
Shrink it down. It'll be easier to maneuver.
We can put the claws away.
Well, if you can do that. Look, I'm just saying be careful. You don't want to upset anyone here by accidentally hurting the forest, is really what it boils down to. Treat it with respect.
So far, you've noticed there's enough
Talking to him,
room.
right?
There's enough room between these branches that you've been able to maneuver the apparatus without much trouble.
So I'll put the claws away, just like have it walk, and if we feel the need, do we have to? I hate to use the word abandon, but if we need to, leave it behind, then we have to do it.
The elven girl will begin walking, and the rest of the dryads sort of form as you begin moving, they kind of close in behind you and form a sort of half circle walking behind you, these dozen dryads. You continue walking. The whole time you're gently rising. You feel as if you're clearly moving towards the center of the island. But you feel that you're rising towards higher ground. You can start to see, after a little while, you start to see features rise up off in the sides. You start to see rocks jutting up, moss-covered stone, small sections where an outcropping of rocks will jut up about 15 feet with sort of a sheer cliff face, as if some piece of this, if the island had formed naturally, for instance, as it emerges from the sea, forming these fingers of rock. After about a half an hour, you can see a section of these off to your left. This outcropping has risen up and continues on for a ways. You can also see that there is a large clearing up ahead. You emerge into this clearing, following the behind this elven girl, who the whole time Verde has sort of been alighting on her shoulder and occasionally on her hand. As she reaches the clearing, she steps behind a tree at the edge, and Verde comes flitting around from the other side, and she does not. As you look around you, the dryads have all stepped behind trees and vanished. You step into this clearing. This clearing looks like it's probably about maybe 100 feet across. And you realize that the clearing is in this sort of where the stone has formed this about 30-foot high cliff face, mostly sheer. You see it rising up on the right, and you realize you're in this sort of a U-shaped area. So on all three sides as you enter into this clearing, except the way you came, is completely boxed in by this cliff face. The ground in front of you looks like like there may have once been a pond here. And the far side of the where the cliffs rise up has sort of a dip in it that looks like there may have once been a waterfall that spilled over it down into this pond. You catch sight of some movement off to your left, and you see on the cliff face, you see that starting at the closest to where you entered and moving all along and around this side, you see fairies. Hundreds of fairies flitting along the surface of the rocks. They seem to be following these chalk outlines that have been sketched in various places. The first thing you see, the first drawing you see that they've added color to, shows a depiction of several orange-skinned kobolds facing off against green-skinned goblins, with a depiction of a white dragon wormling in their midst. You see another drawing that shows a gnarled tree with an old, what looks like a very familiar looking old druid figure standing in front of it, and a very heroic looking paladin holding a familiar sword up, poised to strike this tree. You see these figures standing around, 3 of these figures standing around a wooden depiction of a kobold, while the 4th figure is in the distance on a hill. You see a single stone-toothed mountain rising up in the distance with a city besieged by orcs. You see an underground sea, or lake rather, with a horned black dragon rising out of it, and 2 dwarves, a flurry of weapons, and surrounded by spectral ancestors. You see a ship sailing on the sea. You see a city besieged by a massive turtle with an ironclad ship on its back, flames throughout the city. As the drawings progress towards these more recent drawings, you see that they're more and more sketches, but the earlier drawings are brilliant colors. And all along these drawings, these fairies are flitting to and fro, filling in, and you're watching before you as these murals depicting the very adventures of your party that has started with 4, reduced to 3, grew again to 5, and then grew to 6. The history of the Dawnbringers is being painted on these walls. But you see on the other side a bright splash of color taking place. A sketch being filled out that shows the 6 Dawnbringers low down near the ground. And in an arc above them are 3 large figures. To the left is emblazoned in bright magentas, yellows, oranges, a touch of green, a 3-headed winged creature. Directly in front of them stands a large, also in these same colors, a large lizard-like creature. And to the right, high above, in brilliant oranges, yellows, and reds, wings spread wide, appears to be a bird of fire. And then you see, whether you didn't notice him till just now, or he chose to allow you to see him, in this clearing on the far side, sitting on the ground, legs crossed, is at first what looks like a small human man. But then you realize he has the lower body and legs of a goat, 2 small horns from his head. His eyes are closed, his hands are held out, and he's directing. And as he moves his hands, you begin to realize there's a synchronicity between his hand movements and the fairies moving across, filling in these art forms. And he opens his eyes suddenly and he looks at you. And all of the fairies stop. And that is where we're going to take our break. You guys in the chat, in our side chat, Jeremy. All right. Thank you to everybody who's tuned in so far. Looks like hopefully the stream's been holding up pretty decent. We've had a couple dips here. I'm not reverting to the players, though maybe I am. Every once in a while, if I get distracted, it's usually because of V and Jeremy play acting in the corners. I'd put you in the corner, but you're already there. Anyway, thanks everybody who's tuned in. Thank you to those who looks like Cajun Kevin and Everjay, who both resubbed. Cajun Kevin for 12 months and Jason for that. Everjay for 22 months. Thank you for that. I have awarded domain dice as required by law. We're going to go ahead and we are going to take a 10-minute break here, and then we will be back to play some more of this. I got to get my timer active here. So stick around through the break with us, and we will be back with a bit more of this game of Dawnbringers. We'll see you on the other side of the break. And we're back. You have just emerged into this large U-shaped clearing surrounded on 3 sides by 30-foot high cliffs at the base of what looks like may have once been a pond or spring, and a waterfall that seems to have long since dried up, where you have just discovered a what appears to be a satyr sitting in the grass in meditation, directing fairies, hundreds of fairies that have been painting the history of the Dawnbringers in bright colors along the surface of these cliffs. He opens up his eyes and he looks at you, and all of the fairies freeze. What would you like to do?
So I would assume that, at some point in time, Thorgarn would, have to, come out of this thing. But he's kind of glaring at the black dragon shot. I don't know what their ideal is to try and lift everybody up, but he knows that's not how it went down.
What do you mean?
Oh, I was useless in that black dragon fight.
He's still bitter. He didn't get a strike in.
No, but
after, I don't remember exactly who felled it, but by the time it felled, he was next up in the initiative. So he was like, I swing at it anyway.
Sorry.
It depicts the dwarves with their weapons in a flurry of action. It does not necessarily depict Thorgarn striking the dragon.
I was, we were stuck in water. I was running around like crazy trying to get in on this thing, but it outmaneuvered me the entire time.
He's in dramatic battle pose.
What about the rest of you? Anybody say anything or do anything?
Hello. I see you are acquainted with us.
Since you're the one addressing him, V, will you roll me a D100?
Sure.
You don't have to worry about this. I have mentioned this before. I have this D100 voice acting reference sheet, and you're going to help me decide what this satyr sounds like.
47. He sounds like a 47.
Okay. Okay, I can do this.
Uh-oh.
Hold on, I need my pen disappeared. Oh, there it is. All right, just make a note so I remember. Okay. So you greet him. He quickly stands to his feet, which are, of course, the legs and hooves of a goat, and immediately takes a couple of steps backwards, and seems to kind of look around like he wasn't expecting anybody to be here.
Hello. I'm sorry. I wasn't expecting to see anybody here right now.
Weren't expecting to see anyone here, and yet you somehow seem to know about us. And I'll gesture to the illustrations.
I'm sorry. What do you mean that I know? Wait a minute. It's you. You're the ones that we've been drawing. You're the ones. That's it. That's you.
Your heroes are here.
And that's you.
No,
And that's you.
Don't lead with that. That's really what you're going to say?
Yes.
Oh, you have an ego.
I mean, that was really.
That's true. The way we've been told, you are the heroes.
Who told?
Your names have been whispered on the wind for ages.
Eldath, of course.
he just open mouth, and you just hear this sort of gasp.
You speak her name so freely.
You hear that? Talmud leads over towards Thorgarn. We're famous.
Oh, you're definitely you are the most famous. You're the most famous subjects I've ever had the pleasure of painting. Oh.
So, how do you get your details?
Well, everything's been whispered to us on the wind. Across the centuries. We've known about you here for hundreds of years. We've been singing your tales.
Wait a minute, for hundreds of years?
Oh, hundreds and hundreds.
Huh.
Do you have it? Do you have it? Do you have it? Can I see it?
And he's sort of leaning over towards you, Griveth, and he seems to be looking at your belt, and in particular at your scabbard. And then he points over at the drawing, the painting of Griveth standing, brandishing Sir Bradford's honor over the Gulthias tree.
Is that it?
I still carry it, yes. I am honor bound to this sword. The memory of the knight that gave his life.
Well, if it wasn't for you giving that sword the name you did, nobody would remember the name Sir Bradford. But, oh no. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. If you're here now, oh, that means it's time. Oh, we're gonna hold.
What time?
Oh, it's time. It's time.
And he glances over at the last illustrations showing the three figures, the three large creatures in an arc overhead.
It's time for the trials.
I'm sorry, trials? Talmud calls over from like the edge of the clearing where he's gotten out of the apparatus, and he actually has picked up not one of the painted stones, but a stone that's about as heavy as he can actually pick up and lift over his head, and he's on his way back to the apparatus with it. You said trial?
But of course, she's the reason you're here. But before she can give you audience, you have to pass her test. You have to pass the test, of course.
Oh,
Surely you know this.
no.
Surely you know this. Eldath would require the most stringent of guidelines before meeting any of her emissaries. But I've said too much. I wasn't. You must ready yourselves. I mean, it's been a long time. Are you ready? Please tell me you're ready. Please tell me you're ready.
Oh yes, we are ready. They
Talmud
don't call me the
drops the
knight to
rock.
smite for nothing.
Talmud drops the rock in the apparatus and turns around and like dusts his hands off. Yep, just about ready.
What kind of tests are we gonna do?
And unfortunately, I don't know the exact nature, but the test itself, I've only gotten vague impressions, so there's not as much detail in my mirror here. But if the trial is about to begin, we're going to need, yes, and he starts directing to the fairies. We're going to need red caps, lots of red caps. Maybe we won't. I'm hoping we don't need the red caps, but the brilliant reds, I mean, we might need a lot of that depending on how the trial goes. And then you're going to need, and he starts naming off different minerals and fungi and things like that, to direct you towards, to direct the fairies, different things. And he already is reaching into a satchel, and he's pulled out a mortar and pestle and begins grinding up things to make new pigments. Of course, I will of course document the entirety of your trial. It is the only thing that hasn't already been foretold. But not the only thing. I mean, everything up to this point we knew about. But from here, well, the trial today will determine what happens.
This is pure, my friends. This is what we're born for, not to deal with politics and try to please all these people that end up not liking us and wanting us to leave their places. We can be true heroes and not have to worry about any of that other stuff that goes along with it.
I'm sorry. When did I say I want to be a hero?
When you signed on to the Dawnbringers.
Oh, I did not sign on to the Dawnbringers. You just threw that one at me.
If the mistress of this island that we're waiting to meet set up these trials, how is that any different than what happened at Saltmarsh?
He's not wrong.
Because we don't have to deal with the politics. It's pure heroism.
Oh, you think there's no
We're in
politics
tales.
here?
They're He's so excited he can barely speak. They're documenting our heroics.
Oh,
we will live forever.
Oh, you sweet summer child.
No politics.
I'll have his ass kissed.
This is pure. This is a pure quest. We will all be purified. Praise Eldath.
Griveth, you can't keep Eldath, hero. I know a fair bit about Eldath, and more than just what you espouse. She's not about be a hero, so you gotta have to pick one.
I understand that may be a bit of my ego speaking.
A little bit.
But we go into the world, we change it for the better.
Aye, and I can get behind that, but you don't do it for this. And I point to the murals behind us. You do it because you want to and because it needs doing. You do it for those that you lift up, not to lift yourself up.
Not to shout a name every time you enter a new town, declaring your own heroism.
Am I the only one that's worried that we have to go through tests just to meet this person?
No, this is usually how it works.
Why?
We will be worthy.
If they know us, they know you're not going to pass some written test, Talmud. I doubt it's that.
Just because I was never any good at schooling doesn't mean you have to make fun of me.
No, I have to make fun of you because I'm your cousin.
And Thorgarn, I saw your dire mood after what happened at the town.
Oh, believe me.
We were practically run out of town. We tried everything we could to help these people.
Yes. And
I'm not saying I want appreciation from everything, but
you want a chance to swing your sword and feel great about it.
Yeah, that kind of stings them a little bit because it's the truth.
Bard.
his bravado kind of pauses for a moment.
I'm not really for any of this, and again, he gestures at all the paintings.
But it's the fate. It's fate, Thorgarn. You can't go against the gods.
I'm not going against the gods.
They're laying it out before us.
But
our way is marked.
But to say I want to be a hero and we're going to live forever with jovial qualities and to scream it, that says that you're looking for it, that you're living it, and that's not.
But how many people know? How many people know what to do, what they're supposed to do in their life? Very few. We have it laid out before us.
No.
Our path.
No. Those are suggestions.
It's a revelation. It's a revelation. Praise
oh, dear God, he's gone fanatical, and she's just gonna start walking away.
Excuse me.
Yes. I'm sorry. What's your name again? Did you give a name? Do we have a name?
Oh my gosh!
Will you please stop and just tell me your name?
You actually want to know my name? My name is. I am Sabine. I am Sabine. I am the chronicler. Sabine the chronicler.
That's a fantastic title.
Oh, hail Sabine the
Oh,
chronicler.
Griveth, I'm going to
Oh
shove a
no
sock
no no
in
no
your
no no
mouth.
no 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 no! Don't hail me! Don't no.
Likewise, Sabine, can we have the same deal, please?
You misunderstand. What is happening here? You have unfortunately perhaps misunderstood a bit of it. It is not true. I have a strong fascination with all of you. I've studied you over the centuries to be able to depict your history, and we've been painting and repainting the different things you have done. You just happened upon my heroic period. If you would have been here a few years ago, you would have seen the more devastating aspects. There were some very unfortunate incidents. I had an entire series dedicated to Talmud's trials upon the sea, but nobody was very keen for those particular depictions. But my point is, it is not that you are to be heroes. We here are merely chronicling the very deeds that you have done, whether they are heroic or not. Believe me, there was a very dark period where I went through much ash and charcoal depicting Griveth's story. Oh, let me tell you, and he sort of shudders. Oh, I am so glad that you found cleansing. But the point of the trials is not for you to be emerged as heroes. It is for you to prove that you have what it takes to bear the responsibility that awaits you at the Nightfang Spire. But they've said I'm not supposed to say that.
The what?
It's to prove our worthiness in the deed ahead of us, is what he's saying.
So,
What is it with these people and constantly having to prove ourselves? Go fetch this. Go do this.
remember
It
the
just
lady
seems like it's
said
part
that
of the questing life.
The lady did say that we had a dangerous road ahead of us. If somebody wants us to prove ourselves, I'm not gonna argue.
Considering they're only hearing stories and they haven't actually met us yet, I'm
They're
not
painting
surprised.
They're
So,
painting
Sabine,
us on rocks for hundreds of years. Is that not proof enough? They're not painting anyone else on these rocks.
Not here, at least.
So,
Cantriel,
Sabine,
how can
did
they be
you get
painting us
picked
for hundreds of years?
for dealing with us?
Time has a funny way of working around here.
Ah,
What seems like a minute could actually be a year.
Cantriel and Griveth, you notice first that what was a light breeze has picked up a little bit. What was a gentle shushing through the tree branches has now turned into more of a and Sabine suddenly goes,
The trials are about to begin. I must away.
and he turns towards the cliff, and with a surprising speed and agility begins to clamber up the near vertical cliff, leaping from crag to barely visible handhold and foothold, much like a mountain goat would, clambering up the 30 feet to the top. And you watch as all the fairies, the hundreds of fairies, fly up and disappear over the ridge. And a moment later, you see the very top of a curly head of hair, two little horns, and a set of eyes just boop, as Sabine peers over to look down into this clearing. The wind.
Do we think this is going to be combat?
Are you saying
Be
that
ready.
to the others?
Yeah, I am.
Be ready for anything at this point?
destiny calls.
Oh my god.
Through most of the raving, Drown has sort of wandered a little, not too far away, just sort of walking around looking at the drawings. Is there earlier life stuff here of the Dawnbringers depicted, or is that elsewhere?
The earliest things that are depicted are their very first adventures in Oakhurst. But as you're moving closer, you see now up close the faint lines where other drawings have been on the stone. It looks as if this has been, murals have been painted, rains have come and washed them away, and new murals are painted. And based on what Sabine said, he may have, who knows what else he may have painted on these walls.
Right. So whatever it was, you know, the early life of all of us may have been depicted here at one point, but it's gone now.
Yeah, there's nothing that you could get any clear sense of what it was.
All right, so Drown will be very fervently and interestedly looking through a lot of that old stuff, and then getting more and more frustrated as it's clear it's gone, and he sort of almost storms back toward the rest of the group as the wind is picking up.
And you would notice that up close that a lot of these paintings, they're a mixed medium. A lot of it, dark lines and shadowing is done with ash and charcoal. There's different types of leaves and fungi and other things that are mashed up. It looks like some things may be colored with berries. You catch a sickly sweet odor of various fruits, some on the edge of fermentation or rotting for however long they've been on the walls. But anything that's powder based, you can already see sort of getting blown away as this wind is picking up. From the edges of the clearing, you see as brightly colored leaves from the trees begin falling in earnest, as if it were suddenly autumn. And the leaves get caught up in the wind, and they begin swirling around the edge. And as the wind picks up and is blowing, these leaves begin swirling together in a mini whirlwind, and they seem to move towards the center of this dried up lake bed. And you watch as they sort of become more and more dense, swirling around, and you see it begin to take form. And though it seems to be made entirely of various colored leaves, you see as the wind begins to settle down, the leaves sort of fall in, but they don't all fall to the ground. They take on the form of a four-legged creature with two powerful wings arcing up from its back and three heads. One of a lion, one of a dragon, and one of a goat. And I would like you all to roll for initiative. And I will get your numbers in a moment. Because I need to roll for my thing. All right, so... Whoop. All right. All right, let's see. Thorgarn, what do you got?
11.
That was weird. How did that happen? It, like, 11 showed up in my encounter tracker when I pressed the button. That was really weird because I didn't type it.
It's destiny, I told you.
Cantriel,
Oh, no.
what did you get?
17.
All right, let me just see what happens when I click. Okay, no 17 appeared. Griveth, what do you got?
I got a 12.
I'm using the alpha encounter builder in combat tracker in D&D Beyond. Fig.
Oh, cool.
21.
21. Talmud.
That's a 4.
That's weird. A minus 12 showed up for you.
That's also accurate.
I don't know where these numbers are coming from, but Drown. Oh, I know what's happening.
9.
I'm scrolling. That's what's happening.
Aha.
Because I went to scroll and you got a negative 10. You got a 9, you said? Okay, so I'm gonna start the encounter, and this will puts everybody in order. But I want to do something real quick. So, looks like everybody. Thorgarn, is this accurate that you're 2 points shy of full for health?
You're muted, Ted.
Drown, okay. I got you too.
Didn't we take some kind of damage on the boat?
Yeah, some of you did. I just want to be able to. Oh, that's not right.
Are we still down those hit points? I'm assuming so.
Yeah, you would pretty much come right here.
Yeah.
We didn't take a rest or anything.
So the one thing it doesn't do is put your HP. So when we start your turn, can you tell me what your max HP is and what you're currently at? Fig, what are you at?
I am at full, which is 67.
Okay. All right, Fig, what are you going to do as this creature has risen up in front of you? And it does look hostile.
So I do think that Fig is still perplexed by this whole test idea and maybe overthinking it a bit of like maybe the what seems to be is not what is test part. So he's going to look back at the rest and just, are we supposed to fight it? And then, but still he kind of puts out his hand and his hand begins to separate and grow from his arm, creating this large wall of Figby's hand.
All right.
And he's, I believe that I'm going to do the interposing hand. So interposes itself between myself and a creature.
Which has what effect again?
It provides half cover, and this thing can't move into my space, and only if its strength score is equal to less than or equal to the strength score of my hand. Yeah.
And you put it between you and it. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So next turn is Cantriel.
I will take out my bow, and as I draw the arrow back against my cheek, I'm going to say, "Swift death to you who have wronged me," activating its lovely little perk, and go in for 2 shots.
All right.
And let's. Oh!
Did you crit right off the bat? First combat roll of the game, and you crit. I love it.
And I used Muse die too. All right, so then that is going to be. Oh, I have to do the mathing. Hold on. So you do full first go around and then take what was rolled, right?
It's automatic max damage.
Right.
Then roll any damage dice and add that.
Okay. Let me get the first thing going. So already we're looking at 24. So that's going to be 41 points damage.
Whoa. Yeah, as that arrow.
Oh, wait, no. Wait, take it back. No, because the D6, that doesn't, or they don't go back in, the 3D6, do they? For
What do you mean?
both? Because there's the 3D6 that go in.
Any
additional.
damage that the bow does is maximum, and then you roll all of those dice again on a crit.
So yeah, that's 40.
So it's 40, what was it, 41?
Yeah.
All right, yeah, so as that arrow goes flying,
There's
it
another
pierces through the right just center mass, and you see several leaves just go disperse away from it. And these leaves fall to the ground. That was one shot.
That was one shot. How about another? Okay, this time it wasn't a crit. So will a 28 hit? That's not with the.
yeah, 28
Okay,
will hit.
cool. That's great. So this time around, it's going to be, because I rolled really lousy this time, it's going to be 12 points of damage.
All right.
All right, so we've narrowed down its armor class to at least a 28. Good job.
Yep.
Yay! And then as a bonus action, she'll like snap her head over to Griveth and just like narrow her eyes. I know you want to play the hero, but let's get this done and over with. And you get some bardic inspiration.
I love how her inspiration is a chide.
She's sarcastic. That's it. That's just it. That's always sarcastic.
Griveth, you are going to be up next.
Okay, so Griveth is just, you see, he's just elated with this, like, yeah, heroes. So he and it's like he's thinking, they might whine a little bit, but when it comes down to it, they're really heroes, right? So he goes for Dawnbringer, pulls the sword out of its scabbard. The thing just glows with this intense light, and he's actually the sword has a personality, so he's actually he's had dreams about this golden woman that comes to him, and he almost feels like he's getting more and more connected to this sword. And although he carries Bradford's honor, he just can't ever bring himself to draw it anymore, because Dawnbringer is becoming a part of him, actually. So he runs in, just swinging the sword wildly, and he is going to attack this leaf chimera. And 19
will hit. However, as a reaction, as you come running up to this leaf chimera, you watch as it seems to almost grow to twice its size. But it's not actually growing. What it's doing is it's dispersing the density of the leaves, and you need to roll again because it's at disadvantage.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, that would be a 17 then.
That will still hit, though.
Okay. So that is 16 damage.
All right.
And he's going to go again with Dawnbringer. Ooh, that's 26.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, 25.
Yeah, and as you pass, what type of damage does Dawnbringer do?
It does radiant.
Oh, that's right. It's Dawnbringer. But you do notice as you cut through that it shrinks back down, returning to the density that it was at. And you said it was like a 26 or something. So yeah, you hit.
Okay. So no disadvantage.
Nope.
That one is only a 12. 12
All right.
damage.
12 damage. And with each strike, you see, with this radiant energy, you see the leaves are dispersed as you hit into it, and several of them sort of like flash paper dissipate from the radiant energy. Thorgarn.
So we're here to be tested, and Thorgarn's got some abilities that he hasn't really used. So he's gonna take a moment as he draws out his weapons, Forge Fane in his right, and he just concentrates for a moment, and his eyes kind of get this intense focus, and you hear this almost humming noise coming from the war hammers in his hand. As I invoke Legendary Strike, my channel divinity. And then I will proceed to attack. So that is 27's the hit.
Yeah.
And that is going to be a total of 21 points of bludgeoning damage.
21 bludgeoning. Whoops. I almost applied that to you.
I would rather you didn't.
More leaves are dispersed with this strike. And as you guys are hitting it, those of you that are making melee attacks against it, you feel the resistance as your weapon passes through. There is a definite substance to this thing. Sorry, that got me, Scotty. Maybe we need a rake. Well, you do have a bard. Heyo. All right. So that was all your attacks rolled in, Ted?
Yep.
Perfect.
Bonus action to do legendary strike and action to make 2 attacks.
All right. And drown.
Lovely. All right. So Drown will concentrate and sort of murmur under his breath in primordial. His eyes will glow with that deep sea green, and dark, deep ocean water will start to pour from the collar of his armor down his body and then freeze into these spiky rivulets all over him. Cast Armor of Agathis. And then as a bonus action, he holds out his hand and a shimmering green water tentacle bursts out of the ground and strikes at the beast.
All right.
Let me go spell attack. That is a nat 20. So that will be a critical hit.
All right. Second crit.
All right.
Critical hit. How about that shit?
1 second. Let me check a new feature just to make sure. Okay, that only works with my packed weapon, so no worries. So I will do. So wait, crits are maximum plus dice again, yeah?
Correct.
All right. So 16. Oof. 29 points of lightning damage.
29 points of lightning. All right.
Yes.
Let's see.
Oh, and did you need to know my hit points?
No, I'm sorry. I wound up in the lull. I grabbed everybody's hit points. That was 29, you said?
29 lightning damage, yes.
Perfect. Despite all of this damage you've been doing to it and leaves flying off of it, this creature has been holding strong. And it now... still...
Before finishing my turn, sorry. Yeah, I'm just going to move up and get right into its faces.
You're getting right up into it.
Yep.
All right. Well, it is rearing up. And it is going to begin attacking. So since you moved directly in front of it, it is going to... Where did it go? 1 second. Holy cow. Sorry, I'm getting internet lag right now, which is slowing down my D&D Beyond. Where did it go? Here we go. So it begins to rear up in front of you, Drown, and its 3 heads are looking around at all of you around it. And it is going to... one of the heads lashes out in an attempt to bite you. And let's see, I'll use this. And I'm pretty sure that's going to miss. That is a 10.
as there's a flurry of its own leaves in the air around it, and its head bursts through to where you were a moment ago, and it misses you. The second attack, it's going to try to rake you with its claws. This is a 18 to hit.
And that was at drown?
Yes.
Yeah, that hits then.
I'm gonna deflect that.
Okay.
With what?
That's with your defender, your defense
Yeah.
abilities.
Yeah, so you have to roll the die again.
Oh, protection.
Well, the new roll is a 25, so
Oh yeah. That hits.
so it's definitely going to hit.
I tried.
So you, from the claw, you are going to take, use Dawnbringer dice, so the stings a little more. And I got a Dawnbringer. So you're going to take 12 points of slashing damage. And then it rears up and...
Hold on a sec. I'm gonna do Sentinel on it
Ooh.
since it hit my friend.
Right. So you get an opportunity attack against it.
That's only a 13.
That is going to miss.
Well, before you get to do anything on your own, it hits me and several of those frozen rivulets of my armor explode, driving spikes of ice into it, and it takes 25 cold damage.
How many points?
25.
This angers it.
Warlocks, y'all.
And you watch as all along its wings and its body, you watch as all of the red, yellow, and orange leaves seem to sort of, almost like living stop motion animation, just sort of move towards its dragon head. And then they all come flying out as actual flame. And I need Griveth, Drown, Thorgarn, Cantriel. I need so those three of you need to make a dexterity saving throw. Cantriel, Fig, and Talmud. I need you to tell me how far away from it you are.
Whoever's near me gets a +3 to their saving throw.
So that would be all of the ones I named.
Okay, cool.
I was by the. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
How close was it to the drawings? I think Fig
It's in the middle.
Would have been there.
It's in the middle, so it's quite a ways away from the drawings.
All right, so probably like 60-ish feet for Cantriel.
Okay.
And I'm by the apparatus.
Okay.
I don't know how far away.
So
it
you
is.
guys are all far enough that you're not affected by it. So how did you guys do on your saves?
15.
I got a 19.
I've got a 23.
All right. So you all saved. So you're only going to take half of this. 10, 18, and then 19. So you all take 11 points of fire damage. And Talmud, it is your turn. Actually,
Okay.
hold on. Before you go, Talmud, the chimera beats its wings and rises up off of the ground, which means Drown and Thorgarn will get opportunity attacks. Griveth, you've already used yours with your sentinel attack.
All right, that is a 26 to hit for drown.
So that is a 30, but that's also a 19 on the die, which with legendary strike turns that into a critical.
So the two of you, as you reach out with your weapons and your manners of attack, what all of you see is this chimera burst upward and explode into a shower of leaves, its form becoming incorporeal. Once again, the explosion of leaves, however, is 2, 3, 4 times bigger than the chimera was. As they begin to swirl around the center directly in front of all of you, they begin to take shape. You watch in front of you as the leaves form solidly on the ground into 2 large clawed feet, massive haunches rising up above you, solidifying into a body, 2 small arms in front of it, massive head filled with rows of teeth, and several of these leaves arcing across its head and back as if made of feathers, as a giant leaf-formed Tyrannosaurus Rex now stands in front of you.
So we slew the other one?
You slew the chimera.
Okay. I didn't even get the roll damage.
You didn't need to. It had 12 hit points left. If the 2 of you hit and you crit, there was no way that it was surviving anything. So, however,
is there any time between this transformation?
I mean, it's almost instantaneous. I would say a couple of seconds.
So not like a round or something?
No.
Okay.
No, it forms from the explosion of the... think of it like in the movies when the first time you see Optimus Prime transform, and it seems like it takes him forever to transform. It's the cinematic shot as this massive T-Rex is standing above you. Just a reminder for people in chat, just in case, because I know we've been dipping a little bit on the stream quality. The VOD will be available in 2 days, and so you'll be able to see everything that you missed. All right. So Talmud, it is now your turn as a T-Rex stands in front of you, and I need to roll initiative for this creature.
So I think Talmud is looking at this thing shifting forms, and he's kind of already was started forward, but he was just so far away that he hadn't made much progress before this thing is already downed and is now changing into something else. And he kind of like frustratingly like huffs that he didn't get to do anything at all, and kind of reaches down and picks up Ghost Cleaver and puts Ghost Cleaver in both hands. And as he's kind of striding forward to close the distance between him and this terrible lizard, his tattoos begin to kind of glow over, and out from his face comes a face that's not too dissimilar from the one that is now facing them, except this is ghostly. This lizard-like kobold face comes out, and it kind of gnashes its teeth. I'm bad luck! And is going to charge this thing. Meepo is very angry at trees, and is going to attack twice. I had a question. Does it look like these leaves are moving about and things are able to like pass through it? Like the arrows and weapons?
Give me a perception check.
Oh, I'll try, Chief. I rolled a 1, so no.
I mean, you've seen your friends do damage to it. It appears their weapons have passed through. And you've seen arrows go through. So, yes and no.
Meepo Talmud is going to, if he can close the distance, is going to run and jump into this thing's body.
Okay, he runs at it and bounces off of its belly.
That's proper.
He's now within melee range of it.
Then he's going to try to attack. Okay, the first is a 27 to hit.
Yeah, that's going to hit.
And the second is a 17.
17 will also hit.
Wunderbar. Okay, 16 points on the first. And wait a second. That's not with rage damage. I think it's a +3, extra +3 right now. And then 15 plus that same.
What's the damage type?
Slashing.
Okay.
Magical if it makes a difference. And it is an extra +3 for each of those.
So what are the two totals then? 19 and 18?
Yes. That is correct.
All right, 19 and 18. All right. And the weapon is passing through with the kind of resistance you would expect from as if it were made of flesh and bone.
Meepo is like leaping around this thing's legs while he's swinging and like yipping and barking in his high-pitched, well, Talmud's high-pitched voice.
All right. Skip. We are back to Fig. You still have your interposing hand up. The T-Rex is now where the Chimera was, so positioning is still the same.
How big, like size wise, is this?
Oh, this thing's huge. It's pushing 20 feet tall.
So it would be huge class in monsters.
Yeah, I used the term
Okay.
huge specifically because it is a huge
Excellent.
monster.
Excellent. The hand suddenly rushes forward, and it is going to grasp on to this Leaf Rex and is going to try and grapple it.
Leaf Rex, I love it. Also, I love that this is the first time I've ever seen a T-Rex grappled, so all right, let's see how this works out. Athletics check.
Okay. Yeah. I got a 19.
I got a 24. As the T-Rex resists.
Can I get you to re-roll that?
You can. That's what those domain dice are for. And
Okay.
that is 2 domain dice to make me re-roll that. I'm rolling the same die again. I now have a 19. Which is what you had, correct?
Yes.
You are... I'm going to call this a grapple. I'm going to call it a success.
Okay. Yay. Yeah. So
you sort
grapples.
of pin its tiny twig arms. Thanks to Miko for that image. Its leafy T-Rex is going to have little twiglet arms. Its twiglet arms are sort of pinned as you're holding this leafy Rex in place. And is that your turn?
Yes. Yep.
All right. Cantriel.
Yes. Well, it's not the same creature, right? 2 separate ones.
Yes, it is now a new
Your
creature.
Okay. Just need to make sure because of the bow action. So then as a bonus action, I'm casting Hunter's Mark. Oh, lovely. Another new thing to keep going. And that's just an extra d6 of piercing. Does a 26 hit?
Yes. Yes, it does.
All right, that's very cool. So then that is going to be mathing. So, whoa, brain just said no. Sorry. So then that's going to be 8 points piercing for that one. Didn't roll so well on the die. Second strike, 20, dirty 20.
Okay.
And then that's going to be 7 points piercing.
7 points.
The dice weren't rolling so pretty this time.
All right. Is that your turn?
That's everything I can do.
All right. You are able to strike at this thing around Figby's hand, which is just incredibly big and holding this even larger leafy Rex in place. And the wind is still sort of wailing around the edges of this area. It seems to be caught in this sort of this draw, and but you can still feel the presence of this massive creature standing before you. Griveth, you were standing in front of a chimera. You're now standing in front of a leafy Rex.
All right. Swirling Dawnbringer in pure glee, Griveth comes upon an idea, and that idea is to call on the power of the goddess to ignite his sword into a white-hot flaming brand. And so I'm going to cast Searing Smite. And that's a bonus action.
All right.
Okay, so I'm attacking. First attack is 29.
Definitely a hit.
So the spell does an extra d6 damage. Would the d6 be any more than that, or would it be just a d6? Because it's fire damage.
It's still a D6.
Okay, so it doesn't affect the leaves at all or anything particularly?
You're not seeing
Okay,
that they are being affected in the way you would expect leaves to be affected by fire.
Okay, gotcha. So that's 17 damage.
All right.
He's going to strike again. Oh, that's a 25.
Definitely a hit.
And that's 13 damage. And it catches fire.
Okay.
It bursts into flame. And then hold on. Okay, yeah. And then you get a saving throw on your turn.
All right. Oh, jeez. Just almost knocked my dice tray off the table. Okay. So now the leafy Rex is on fire at its haunches. And it is Thorgarn's turn.
So Thorgarn lets out a yell, and his ancestors begin to manifest around him as he begins to wail into this creature. And at least for this round, he's not really going to be caring so much about defense. So I am going to attack recklessly.
Okay.
Did not pay off the way I wanted it to. So that is a 25 and a dirty 20.
Those are both going to hit.
That is total of 26 damage.
Okay. Let's see here. 26?
Yep. So attacks against everybody but me have disadvantage because of Talmud and I fighting it. Attacks against me are normal.
Okay. Excellent. It is now Drown's turn. And Drown, you are still up close with this thing as well.
Yep. All right. It is being grappled by a Figby's hand. Is that correct?
Correct.
Neat. All right. So Drown will first off just kind of lay into. You know what? I'm actually going to burn a bonus action to cast Hex on it. And those watery tentacles kind of burst out of its body and start drawing it down, like it's pulling all of the remaining energy out of it and just sort of pouring it down onto the ground. So I will hex it, and I will hex its strength. So it has disadvantage on strength checks.
Okay.
And I will smack it twice with my packed stick. Oh my god. That is a critical hit and a 2, so 12. I assume that's going to be one hit.
Yes. The 12
right.
misses.
Roger that. Okay.
But not by much.
6, 12, 20 plus dice.
That is 2 crits for Dan tonight.
It is indeed. That's going to be a 29 bludgeoning damage, magical.
Wow.
Maxing the first set of dice, man. That does a lot of damage.
All right. And is that your turn?
That is my turn.
As you strike into it, and you feel the connection, and it deals the damage, that presence, that immense presence you feel from this creature vanishes. All of the leaves turn to mist. Figby's hand is left floating in the air. And there's a swirling of wind and mist, and the leafy Rex is now standing halfway between Cantriel and Fig. It has just misty stepped over out of the grasp, and it is going to make 2 attacks, one with its bite and one with its tail. I'm going to flip this coin and see. Heads will be the bite. So Cantriel, we're going to see if you get literally heads or tails. You get the head. It is going to bite you, Cantriel, or try to bite you. As this massive maw comes down at you, that is, come on. That is a 12 to hit.
That's a no.
It leans in, and it's not quite close enough as the jaws snap shut, and you smell this strong sense of rotting vegetation. But in the same instant, its tail whips around at Fig. And that is going to be a 17 to hit Fig. Fig, this tail slams
Can I
in.
deflect that? Is Fig near me?
No, the leafy Rex misty stepped away.
Okay.
It's about at least 40 feet away from you guys now.
Okay, gotcha.
I have a thing I can do though.
What is that?
The spirits, the ancestors that are kind of coming in and out of Talmud, several of them kind of rush forward in like this dwarven shield wall and put themselves kind of in between Fig and this striking tail. I'm using Spirit Shield. If I'm raging and another creature I can see is within 30... Oh, I don't know if Fig is within 30 feet of me. That would be a thing.
Because you ran up on the T-Rex and I just said that it was 40 feet away from all of you, then you wouldn't be within range. Fig, you are going to take 15 points of bludgeoning damage as you hear this almost metallic clang as it smacks up against you. And it is now your turn, Talmud.
Hold on 1 sec. It takes a little bit of fire damage.
Oh, you're right.
It takes 5 fire damage.
Doesn't it get a save?
It takes the fire damage first and then gets a save.
All right, so how much fire damage?
5.
And
now it gets a save.
5 fire damage. That's probably going to be a fail. What kind of save is it?
15.
No, what kind of save?
Oh, I'm sorry. Constitution. Sorry.
That's a 10. So I'm guessing it fails.
Yep.
So it's still on fire.
Okay.
All right. The flaming leafy Rex is done with its turn. It is now Talmud's turn.
Talmud is going to turn and... Oh, damn, he's not going to be able to close with it.
Well, keep in
Even
mind,
if you
it's pretty
rage,
big.
are you
It's
raged?
Oh,
It's
that's
pretty
true.
big. You might be able to get to the back end of it.
Yeah, I might be able to get to a part of it because I can move 35, so that's only 5 feet shy.
Yeah, the thing is huge.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd say that. It's definitely stretched itself out attacking at Cantriel and Fig.
Perfect. So Talmud, as Meepo runs forward, no! And he raises Ghost Cleaver up above his head and leaps off of a nearby rock that's got a painting of Meepo on it. And as he's bringing this down right on the tail, kind of short of where it was trying to hit Fig, I got a 15 and a 16.
Those both hit.
Excellent. Okay, cool. So the first one is going to deal 14 points of slashing. Magical. And there we go. The second will be 21 points of slashing. Magical.
All right, you've dispersed many leaves from this, some of them on fire, and you do notice as you're striking it, some of these leaves that are on fire, once you've struck it and they sort of slough off, they burn up. But it is still standing. Is that the end of your turn, Talmud?
Yes. Question mark. Yes.
Fig, it is back to you. You are considered engaged with it. Within its reach.
Okay.
But to clarify, you're within 10 feet of it.
Yes. Okay. So how far is Cantriel from Fig?
Within 30 feet. She's on the other side of the T-Rex.
Okay. Is she more than 10 feet away?
She'd be more than 10 feet away, I imagine.
Excellent. Okay. So with the bonus action, Fig is going to move the hand over and attempt to slap this Rex.
All right.
Wait, don't you have the tail end?
Please kill this T-Rex with an ass slap.
With a spanking.
Oh no.
You have to reprimand it if you do, though.
That is a dirty 20 to hit.
It's gonna hit.
Very, very
Um,
It's a very dirty 20.
Oh, no.
The first time I've seen a T-Rex
Oh.
grappled and the first time I've seen somebody slap its butt.
of all the people getting shocked faces, one person is not allowed.
That's going to be 24 points of force damage.
Believe it or not, it only had 23 hit points. You just destroyed a leafy T-Rex with a smack on the butt with a Figbee's hand. So as this hand comes sailing across and just opens up, there's just this whack, and you watch as all of the leaves just up against the cliff wall, and you see just a spray, some of them on fire, just seem to, and what you see is the way they splay out against the wall, again, larger than the form of the T-Rex. It seems to spread in a brilliant, the center is all yellow. And then you see around the edges a bunch of orange and red leaves splayed out wide in a massive wingspan. And then you notice that the leaves that are on fire from Griveth's Searing Smite are still on fire. And this entire form goes, becomes engulfed in fire, peels itself away from the wall. And you watch as above you, a massive leafy phoenix takes flight above your heads. So Fig, was that your turn? Slapping the T-Rex's hiney?
No, that's not. It's not everything.
Well, it's still your turn.
Fig wants to. He looks up and sees this phoenix immediately rise up and take to the air, and he holds out his hand, and immediately all of these, or he just looks at it, and immediately all of these gears kind of expand from his body, different parts. These gears come out and they begin to spin faster and faster, and they come and they just begin to like whip up towards this phoenix and begin to surround it and slowly begin to constrict this phoenix. And I'm going to try and cast polymorph on it. I have to make it has to make a wisdom saving throw.
Interesting. Okay. Wisdom saving throw?
Yes.
That is a 21.
No.
As it resists.
Oh, wait, can I get you to reroll?
You absolutely can. Directly below the domain dice, I think V has appointed herself the domain dice referee. We'll re-roll that. That is now a 23.
Oh, okay. At least I tried. Yeah. So I imagine that it kind of begins to these gears begin to constrict around this phoenix, but you see it just expands its wings out with this giant shriek, and these gears just fly away in all directions.
All right, it is Cantriel's turn.
Oh dear God, how many more times is it going to do this thing? And she'll shoot up at the phoenix. And 29, does that hit?
Yes, it does.
Okay,
I
cool.
was just checking the number because both times you've asked that, you've doubled its armor class. So I'm not saying you did that this time, but both times previously you had.
Okay. So then the first hit, that is going to be 13 points piercing.
13 piercing. All
And I
right.
have another one.
Question.
Uh-huh.
Did you crit again? Nice. Quick question. Does anybody's attacks that are attacking with melee, are anybody's attacks not magical? Everybody's attacking with magic weapons or magic attacks, correct?
Mm.
Okay.
Pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Then we don't need to worry about that. So
Cool.
13.
Okay, so
And then a
this-
crit.
This is then going to be
That's the
your-
fourth crit. Both. All four of them coming from Drown and Cantriel.
Well, look up
No,
there.
we had one from
Oh
Thorgarn
wait,
as well.
wait. Thorgarn
Yeah.
had an ability that turned one into a crit.
Yeah, he's
So
critting
that's
on 19s on account of his
Yeah.
heroism.
five.
Okay,
crits.
so that's a total of 27 piercing.
Nice.
Yes, I'm then I'm going to I have one of those. I still have a couple of those left too. And then she will look over to, well, can she see me, Talmud? Right? Because
To-
the T-Rex is gone.
What were you? What? I'm sorry. What's the question?
I can see Talmud now, right? 'Cause
Oh,
the
you can
T-Rex
see
is in
everybody.
between
Yeah,
us.
the Phoenix is
Yeah.
up
in the
just
sky.
beginning. So it's pretty much at where the
Wafting.
the height. It's about 20 feet up.
Okay. Okay, so then looking to Meepo Talmud, that's right, you're very bad luck and that's good. And you're getting Bardic Inspiration, which is a D8 now. Don't forget.
Griveth, you're up.
Does my bardic inspiration still say on, or does that supersede that?
Stick.
It
No, it
sticks.
stays on.
Yeah.
You have
use
10
it
minutes
for-
to
I
use
still
it.
have it too.
Hasn't
Okay.
been 10 minutes, and if you haven't used it, it's still good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I haven't used it yet. Okay, cool. Griveth sees his transformation, and he's holding Dawnbringer, which is like this white hot flaming brand, and he's kind of like, for a moment, he's like, "Oh crap!" It's like, I didn't cause this, did I?
Hides it behind his back real quick.
So he's like, well, I can't think about that now. So he extinguishes the sword, and who looks? Am I within, like, if I move to somebody, can I touch them? Can I touch everyone in the group, or?
You have to ask them.
So
I mean, would I be in range to
So-
move to them?
pretty much just me, Thorgarn, and maybe you could make it to Talmud.
Talmud. The others are going to be too far outside of your range.
Okay, looking over the group quickly, who do I think is the most hurt?
Drown's fine.
I don't think
I'm only down 13.
nobody's really taken much damage.
Okay.
Worst dungeon master ever.
I mean, I've taken a pretty decent chunk of damage, but it all came out of temporary hit points. So
Oh, I see. Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Well, realizing I can't really do much when it's in the air, I am going to do call on Eldath to help me heal my friends. So I'm gonna cast Aura of Vitality. And I'm gonna move to whoever is the most hurt or near. I just have to be within 30 of them. So I'm gonna move whoever is the most hurt and then heal them. 7 points of damage. So whoever wants to take 7 points, go ahead.
I'll take it if nobody else wants it.
Yeah, go for it. Cheers.
All right. Yay.
All right. Griveth is just trying to get within range of everybody so he can, as close as he can, so he can help, with his protections and stuff. Okay, I'm done.
All right, cool. I just realized the combat tracker actually has a thing for temp hit points too. Be nice if they can make it tie into your guys' actual characters, so I don't have to track it manually. But it doesn't do that yet.
Do you need any of the numbers? Or you
No, I got them. I made a couple of adjustments because I forgot to track while we were doing it. It's more just so that I can keep an account of where you're at. So Griveth is done. Then it is Thorgarn's turn.
All right. Yeah, you said it's 20 feet in the air.
It is.
I'm gonna yell and scream for it to get down here, and I'm gonna throw Forge Feign. Crap. That is a 14 and a dirty 20.
A 14? Is that what you said?
Yes.
14 is my low. The 14 is gonna miss. What are you attacking it with?
Forge Feign. Basically, I can throw it like
thrower, right?
Oh, yeah.
And the way it's worded is it comes back after the attack, not the
that is
other
correct.
round, so.
Yeah, you've got Thor's hammer, basically.
So that,
Mew mew.
so that is 11 damage.
Okay. All right. Drown, you are up.
Okay, so the phoenix form of the leaf creature counts as a new separate creature, right?
Indeed.
Okay, then I will first use my bonus action to move Hex onto it, since it's sort of free-floating at the moment. And then I will launch a pair of crackling green eldritch blasts up at it. No critical hit this time. That's all right, though. 19 and a 17. Sorry, a little higher. 21 and a 19.
Those are both going to hit.
Cool. Rod of the Pack Keeper. Get used to my new numbers. What's my bonus on these guys? My brain don't work. All right. Ooh, geez. 20. That is going to be a grand total of 32 points of... 22 points of force damage and 10 points of necrotic damage.
Okay.
All right. And I will basically just sort of walk a bit closer to where it flew. So say 15 feet or 15 or 20 feet just to keep me up in the healing poke aura that Griveth is throwing around.
You all feel this entire clearing, just the wave of heat emanating from this thing as it beats its massive wings. And this thing seems to have grown in size as it's on fire. It is, for size categorization, it is gargantuan. It beats its wings, which almost brush the ground around you, rising 30 feet up in the air. And it seems to hover there for a moment. And then it folds its wings back and streaks like a meteor towards the clearing. And I am going to roll a d6 to see which one of you lucky folks is getting attacked. It looks like Drown is getting attacked.
Awesome. I was going to say he's going to try and make himself the biggest target anyway.
I rolled a 2 on the die, so it is coming at you. And it is attacking you as it does a flyby, so it will not provoke any opportunity attacks from you, and it is going to do both attacks against you. It is going to attempt to bite you first with its fiery beak, and that is going to be that actually, as it comes in, my whole house rule applies to both monsters and players, is on a critical fail, it does grant an opportunity attack. So as it comes streaking towards you, it overshoots with its beak. You hear it clamp down, and its broad body is passing over you. You see its fiery talons streaking towards you, but you have a moment to get an opportunity attack on it because of that crit fail.
I will capitalize on that. That's going to hit. And so that'll be 13 force damage and 1 necrotic. So 14 total.
All right. And about that time, the with a 31, it's
hit.
its talons dig into you.
Fair enough.
Can I
And
use the dwarven specters now?
yeah,
Within 30 feet?
yeah.
Perfect. So yeah, those dwarven shield bearers kind of come out and put their shields out, shield wall style, between Drown and these talons, and you can reduce the damage that you're going to take by 3d6, I believe.
Ooh. Neat.
By how much?
3d6. Yep. Spirit shield.
All right, you're gonna roll that,
Yeah, you
Okay.
roll it.
Talmud.
So you are going to take 11 points less.
So you will reduce, as you brace for these fiery talons, there is a shower of sparks as they arc off of these spectral shields, and instead of taking 15 points of damage, you will only take 2 points of fire damage.
Right. Well, the Phoenix will eat the last of my armor of Agathis and take 25 cold damage in retaliation.
Ooh, let me check something.
So Drown, I'm imagining, is like leaping up into its mouth and jabbing its staff forward as the dwarven shield bearers appear, and the spray of ice.
And it continues moving past you, and arcs back up. So it is now 60 feet above the clearing, beating its wings as it looks down at all of you. And it is now Fig's turn.
Did I get skipped?
Did you?
Yes.
I took a reaction.
After the Phoenix.
Oh, you're right. I did. That was my
I
bad.
know I'm like at a negative 12, but I
No.
still get it, right?
It's because I failed to roll initiative for each creature at the beginning, and I can't modify initiative. So I've been going off of the Chimera's initiative, but the other two are listed below you, and I skipped past you to get to the Phoenix. So it is your turn.
Okay. So I'm gonna try something. This is gonna be a bad idea. Meepo turns around and looks at this thing in the air and grabs a hold of the edges of the cape that Talmud wears and brings them up on either side of him like wings. And he says, "I'm a dragon!" And he runs and leaps off of another rock. And as he does so, he disappears in a puff of smoke using the Cape of the Mountebank to Dimension Door inside the Phoenix's body. Now, Dimension Door is going to likely cause a problem here for me. So it says, if you would arrive in a place already occupied by an object or a creature, you and any creature traveling with you take 4d6 force damage, and the spell fails to teleport you. I don't know if the inside of this thing is hollow or not. I failed miserably my perception earlier, so this is just something that Meepo's trying. I'll leave it to you.
Unfortunately, it is comprised of solid matter from the Fey foliage, so it will fail.
So he reappears right where he tried to like disappear in this puff of smoke and like falls to the ground with the cape out.
So yeah, you will take 4d6 force damage. I will roll that.
Okay.
That is going to be 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 points of force damage to your Meepo form. And yeah, just that sort of
Ow.
very befitting of Meepo.
Yep.
Now we're back to Fig.
Fig wants to. Fig wants to fireball this thing. Because why not? Seems good. Yeah. So he again with this with these multiple matches that expand from his arm like you've seen before, and they begin to spin faster and faster around his arm, and they coalesce together in this one point that forms this ball of fire that explodes out towards this phoenix, and it has to make a dexterity saving throw.
25, 27. Wait. Yeah, 27.
Okay. That's fine.
I'm not going to have you burn domain dice on that because as your fireball explodes into the phoenix, it absorbs the fire of the fireball and burns brighter. You have done no damage to the phoenix.
That makes sense.
Fig learned something today.
I did. Even if it's a leaf, it's still...
So, yes, you have learned that it appears to be immune to fire damage. It is Cantriel's turn.
Okay. Looking up at the phoenix in the air, she's going to start screeching, "Will you stop shifting and moving?" And each word is getting shriller and louder and louder. And I'm casting Shatter against it.
Nice.
So that's a con
I was
save.
going to say it's a con save, I believe.
Yes, it is.
What level are you casting it at?
I am casting it at... Hold on one moment, must scroll. 2nd level.
That is a 13 on its con save.
Oh, what a shame I have a 15. So that's going to be 3d8. Okay, and then that is going to be... I didn't roll so well. That's a 12.
As your shatter spell strikes it, you see a small amount of fiery leaves at the front. They seem to turn to brittle, dried up leaves and just sort of flutter in pieces, some of them burning to the ground around you.
Lovely.
Griveth. Good lord. Griveth.
Gribble is ready.
I don't know what happened there.
That's my brother.
Glitch. Griveth and Griveth. Griveth length more. That's your Thorgarn.
So Talmud, he's channeling Meepo, right? Okay, so I see him like use his cloak, teleport up there. I don't know. I'm like, what is he thinking? What is he trying to do? So is essentially, does he slam into it and then bounce off, or he just doesn't?
No,
the
spell fails, so he disappears for a second,
okay,
and then reappears singed and smoking, having taken the damage.
So I assume I hear like he's falling as Meepo. So what does Meepo sound like as he's falling to the ground?
He doesn't actually go up. He just he topples in place.
So I see him face down on the ground. So I quickly use my blessing of Eldath upon him. So you gain 8 hit points back. And I'm just frustrated. It's like this thing, flying. I was so excited about the fight, and now this thing is flying around, and I got my great sword, and I can't hit it with the sword. So I'm like, I'm frustrated. So I reach into my back, pull out one of my javelins, and wing it at the beast.
All right.
Let's see what happens here.
I do believe with a javelin that would be at disadvantage.
Oh, not good.
Am I correct on that? Because I think they're only 20 or 30.
They're only 30 feet, yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be at disadvantage.
Okay. The first one was only 14 with disadvantage.
That will miss.
Okay. Second one. Ugh. Okay. The lowest one is 19.
That will hit.
Okay.
And based on the positioning of everybody, even though you missed sort of a air ball with a javelin, it arcs and continues off to the far side. It's not going straight up and going.
Gotcha.
If you had critically failed, then yes, it would have.
So it's not lawn darts.
Right. I imagine Griveth is using a proper javelin throw. He's not like underhand throwing it straight up and watching it.
Yeah. You don't hit your sibling. All right. So the damage is 11.
All right.
And I'm running around trying to watch where this thing goes.
Now that I believe is a non-magical attack. Because it is a mundane
not
javelin.
Magical.
All right.
Seem to do anything?
It does seem to do something. Just not as much as maybe expected. And if that's the end of your turn, it is then Thorgarn's turn.
So how far did this thing move up?
It is 60 feet above you.
So that means my attacks are at disadvantage as well. All right, that's going to be a 25 on the first one.
It's a hit?
Yes.
Oh, I was saying that's a hit.
Yeah, 25 to hit. And then a 16 to hit.
The 16 will miss.
So a total of 14 on the one that hit.
All right. You would all notice, as Drowned, it is your turn. Notice that the fire of this phoenix is not burning as brightly, and its form seems to have reduced a bit in size. It's still this gargantuan presence of fiery fey foliage above you, but you've definitely put a pretty good hurting on this thing, and it is your turn, Drought.
Righto. Well, given that it's way off in the sky, this will be pretty simple. Drown is just going to sort of plant his feet and throw one of his hands forward as tattoos writhe and release those shimmering deep sea green energy bolts. Another Eldritch Blast. 17 and 16.
Those will both miss.
Ooh, rough.
As it seems to use its flapping of its wings, and it just pushes down on one and then the other and seems to just move out of the way.
Party members are trying to convince you to reroll their
reroll.
I'll allow it.
All right, sure. I'll burn 2 dice to reroll each one.
All right, that puts you at 104.
All right, so that's going to be a dirty 20 and a 29.
Those are both going to hit.
All right. Couple of blasties. Does it matter between force and necrotic, or can I give you a lump sum?
You can total it.
Okay, cool. Another 29 damage again. I'm hitting that number a lot.
All right. Yeah, you see the flame seems to momentarily actually dim under the assault of your attack. As the Feywisle Phoenix folds its wings back for another dive bomb attack. And I'm going to roll 2d6 this time. One to see who it's attacking with its beak, and one to see who it attacks with its talons. That is going to be Talmud with its beak. and that is going to be Cantriel with its talons, as it does a flyby. So Talmud. That is a 31 to hit.
It's close, but yeah, no, I'm gonna hit.
That is going to be 18.
Am I close enough to Talmud to deflect it?
Actually, you are, because you went up and healed.
Yep.
That turns it to a 15.
Which is my armor class.
Okay. So that is 18 points of fire damage. And as it bites you, the fire spreads and you are now on fire. And then it continues flying through towards Cantriel. That is going to be a 27 to hit.
Quick distance check. Cantriel was 60-ish feet away from the original leaf beast.
Oh, you know
position.
what?
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
because
now-
you know, I hate to say this, but it would have to do both of its attacks against Talmud, because it's diving straight down at you, and it's actually not doing a flyby because it was 60 feet above you. Oh wait, yeah, it can.
It's pretty fast.
Wait. Yeah, sorry, I got its speed mixed up. So it would still be able to fly by Cantriel, but I think it's going to end its movement at Cantriel. So it swoops down the Talmud and sort of arcs through this area, and is going to. So it hits Cantriel for 14 points of fire damage. You are not on fire.
How close? How far away from me is Cantriel?
I mean, I was on the other side of the T-Rex and I hadn't moved.
That puts her at about
Like 30 feet.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna rinse repeat with the dwarves. So they're gonna charge forward, put their shields up.
Oh, trying to block her?
Try to reduce some of the damage.
Oh, reduce it. Okay.
That'll be 10 points to shave off.
All right, so you take 4 points of fire damage, and that's your reaction, correct, Talmud? And Talmud, it's your turn. This phoenix is at ground level over by Cantriel, having just sort of, it's kind of in the process of moving past her.
So these dwarves have placed themselves in between Cantriel and this creature, and it was just barely able to get past their spectral nature and still do a little bit of damage to her. And Talmud Meepo is turned and is now running, and those dwarves, as they're starting to like disappear, turn, and actually the three of them kind of like lay their shields to form like this ramp. And he is going to run up those shields and jump, and is going to try to strike this thing twice.
Excellent.
I'm going to use a domain die to re-roll that. 21.
21 hits.
Sweet. And the second is going to be a 23. So
Hits.
okay.
Somewhere
so-
between 18 and 20. Or narrowing it down as they say.
Okay, so that's 14 slashing magical from the first one. And 19 magical slashing from the second.
As you leap through weapons, you run up these spectral shields, sort of running up and over, leaping over Cantriel. Weapons ablaze. You're using Ghost Cleaver? Your weapon cleaves into this fiery form of this phoenix and rakes along its body, and you feel the heat of the fire intensify as I need Talmud, Cantriel, Drown. Honestly, based on where everybody was, all of you need to make a dexterity saving throw.
Oh dear. Yep.
As
Anybody close enough to get a bonus from me?
because Talmud ran away from where you had healed him, I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I wasn't close enough.
Were you over by Talmud?
I don't know.
I was trying to say it as centered as I could in the
But-
group.
And Talmud specifically ran away from you where you went to heal him.
Yes, that's
if
true.
if
Yes,
anybody's close by, it would be Thorgarn.
true.
Well, it doesn't matter. What, as crappily as I rolled.
Oh, okay.
So-
All right.
It's a dexterity save that I can see the source of.
It's a fiery explosion above your
Okay,
head.
so danger sense would kick in.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Oh, so that makes that does make a difference. Thank you for that, Jeremy. So the 6 becomes a 14. Still don't think that's going to be enough.
All right, I've got an 11, a 17, a 14. Drown, Cantriel,
11.
Oh, Drown fails. 13.
and
I've got an
Griveth.
18.
All of you fail. It was a DC 20. All of you take 31 points of fire damage as this thing explodes around you.
Oh boy. Drown will use his reaction to wrap the spectral lurker's tentacle around himself, and it will be obliterated, but it'll absorb half the damage. So, what was the total on that?
31.
31. All right, so I'll take 15.
Remind me, what do you have to roll for concentration to check it?
It's a Constitution saving throw. DC is going to be 15.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
As this thing explodes above Talmud's head, and the force knocks all of you back a bit, you're all hit with this rush of fiery fey leaves, and you all are singed, you're burned, you're hurt, but you also notice that the wind around you has died down. The explosion of the phoenix does not transform into another creature. You hear a sound, Cantriel, from up above the cliff. The first thing you hear, and all of you begin to hear this, is what sounds like a pattering sound. And then you realize it's Sabine standing atop the cliff, clapping. You did it! You did it! And then he looks over his shoulder and he goes, oh my. And you hear this as a cascade of water comes rushing over the cliff. A waterfall begins spilling down into this area. And in moments, what was a dried up pond, has filled with water. The initial rush of the waterfall eases into a regular flow of water. And then you see in the very center of this pond a tension bubble, massive, begin to rise. You watch as the entire pond rises up 10, 15, 30 feet, 60 feet, forming into a shimmery, watery shape of a woman. The water seems to spill down around her, trailing in puddles, still filling this pond. As she looks down upon all of you, congratulations, Dawnbringers. You have passed my trials, and you have proven yourselves more than worthy. I am the Matron Eve, the Angeline. And that is where we are going to end this session.
I turned Firebird into Fireball. Nico says before he goes away.
And just for those of you keeping track at home, you just fought a Chimera, the King of Feathers, and a CR-16 Phoenix at max hit points.
All a day's work.
And you guys,
after the other.
all
But no
said and
legendary
done,
actions on the Phoenix. So
no,
that was fine.
both the King of Feathers and the Phoenix would normally have legendary actions, and this is the second time M has fought the King of Feathers, having faced it in Chult. But also for those interested, I got this idea when my son and I were talking, and it's modeled on something called a tile chimera, which is from the Rise of Tiamat, which is a mosaic that takes on the form of a chimera, and that was what gave me the idea for using the Fey leaves to create these creatures. But now you have just met a woman, a Fey entity comprised of water at this point, who has introduced herself as the Matron Eve, the Angeline. And
Evangeline.
perhaps there is a connection, perhaps there is not. I never connect things.
Well, in any event, that was awesome, Jake. Thank you.
Are the fairies busy making our new mural?
I guess we'll have to wait and see next week what Sabine and his mural fairies are up to. But yeah,
Put Griveth in the front. Put Griveth in the front.
So thank you to everybody who tuned in tonight. We had a little bit of glitches with the stream quality, but it seemed to hold up pretty much all the way through for the most part. We only dropped 11.7% of frames. As I say that, I just dipped down into the red. But nonetheless, thank you to everybody who tuned in. Thank you to those who resubscribed. Thanks to Unmade Gaming for the raid earlier. We greatly appreciate all of you hanging out with us as we play this amazing game. We will be back next week with episode 3 as we figure out what's up with this mysterious woman and how it ties into the heart of Nightfang Spire and the further adventures of the Dawnbringers. And of course, just a reminder, we kind of rushed through the announcements at the beginning, but tomorrow night you're going to want to tune in to the Nerdarchy YouTube channel, where you will find myself and V playing our characters, the turtle and the tabaxi, in Ted's
the Chaos Crew.
Yes, the Chaos Crew, along with Asa and Megan. We are the Chaos Crew under Ted's RPG Crate sponsored game season 4, I believe we're in.
Season 4 tomorrow will be episode 7.
Episode 7.
Mystery Mountain.
Fantastic.
No, Misery.
Oh, Misery.
Misery.
Not as fantastic. Not as fantastic.
Big difference.
But you're definitely gonna wanna check that out. And then Sunday night we expect to be back with Chult of Personality. I think we're up to episode 68. As they are in level 5 currently of the Tomb of the Nine Gods. Monday night there will be no All That Glitters. We actually wrapped, after 37 episodes, we wrapped part 1, the Waterdeep Dragon Heist. We will be returning after about I think 2 weeks after Jasper's game week with a new series, a second season, essentially, that will be the same characters as we continue on with Dungeon of the Mad Mage, with Mike still as our GM, and all of the same characters involved in that. Tuesday night, you can find me over on the Dice on Ice RPG channel, where we are playing the Curse of Strahd campaign, and I'm actually playing 2 different characters at this point because of the way things are going. I'm playing a dwarf gunslinger and who's just on the verge of turning cleric, and also I'm playing a monk, who has now earned the title of the last monk of Vallaki. You'll have to tune in to see what's going on with all that. Next Wednesday night, again, you will find Em and I here, along with some other friends, as we return for session 3 of Highway of Blood, our 1970s Call of Cthulhu scenario run by Captain Gothnog himself, Alex, one of the authors of that module, which is available on DriveThruRPG. Critical Hit Publishing's Highway of Blood. And then, as I said, next Thursday, we'll be back here for the next Dawnbringers. In the meantime, check out everybody's social medias. Check out what they got going on. Oh, I forgot to mention, next week, Monday, I believe, but it might be Tuesday. I'll have to double check. I will be on the live stream, live chat Revivified, I think they're calling it, with Dave over on Nerdarchy. We'll be talking all things mini terrain domain, hyping up Jasper's game day. I'm very excited to be a part of that series. Nerdarchy's broadcasting those. Dave's doing those every day at noon Eastern over on the Nerdarchy YouTube channel. So with that, oh wait. Nope, that's not next week, because I already said what's coming up next week. All right, with that, I do want to say a final thank you, of course, to Scotty, Dan, V, M, Ted, and Jeremy, without whom it would just be me talking to myself for 3 hours. I love you guys. I love running this game, and I love the enthusiasm you bring to this as I throw weirder and weirder stuff at you. And tonight, we got to see a T-Rex get slapped in the butt by a giant Big B's hand and destroyed. So that's my highlight. That's my highlight on top of the I think we had 5 crits tonight. So thank you all for that. We're going to go ahead and we are going to get out of here. We're going to end the stream the same way we end every stream. And you can say it with me if you want.
Matilda. Matilda.